couple minutes to reflect on the story of Esther in the Bible. If you're not familiar with Esther, she has her own book in the Old Testament. I encourage you to read it as a family or read it on your own. It's really one of these great examples of true courage in the face of hardship. So Esther lives during this time of immense trial and challenge for the people of God. And what we see in her life is this immense courage to keep moving forward, to keep doing what is right, to keep doing what is good, even though it is a challenge for her and for her family and for her people. There can be a tendency in all of us when faced with times of challenge, like now, to think that we're not up to the task, that we're not big enough, that we're not strong enough, that we're not equipped for this, we're not prepared for this, we're not ready for this. Esther kind of feels this too. But she has this great mentor in her uncle who looks at her and tells her, he says, Esther, perhaps God created you for such a time as this. He helps her to see that even though she in this moment feels small, she was created for such a time as this. She was made by the Almighty God, knowing that she was going to live at this time. She was given a unique set of skills and capacities and talents to speak truth into this point of immense challenge, and God does go on to use her powerfully to save her entire people. In the same way, I think a lot of us, we feel surprised by what's been going on in our world. We feel overcome by what we see on the news. We're not sure how we should go forward. What can our role be in this? How can little old me have any impact or any positive effect on my community? How can I do anything? In times like this, sometimes we feel like we're just not sure the way forward, but the truth that God says to us is similar, that you were made for such a time as this. You were created intentionally. You are God's masterpiece. He made you perfectly. He made you with a unique set of skills and capacities and talents to speak truth, to speak love, to be a neighbor, to be a friend. He made you for this time here. He was not surprised by the coronavirus. He knew that this was going to happen. He knew what our communities were going to face, and He made you. He made your family intentionally with unique skills and talents and capacities to speak into this situation that we are in. And so as we continue with one last worship song, take a moment as a family and reflect on the truth that you were made intentionally, that you were fearfully and wonderfully made, that God knit you together when you were in your mother's womb, that God made you for such a time as this to do good purposes, which, as Paul says in Ephesians, He prepared in advance for us to do. God made you for this time. Take a moment, reflect on that truth as a family, and then enjoy one last worship song together.